Alright, your boy Duel over at Cam DMAC here, and today we're going to talk about what to look for when you buy an old Civic or CRX. Now, this information can be applied to any Honda built in the late 80s, late 90s era. I mean, it's all the same shit, honestly. Well, first thing I'm going to talk about is actually the tachometer and the whole gauge cluster. Now, what people do with these Hondas and old CRXs is they actually change out the automatic cluster, because the automatic cluster, the fuel gauge and the coolant temp is over there where the tach is at, and there's no tach. So what people do is they swap out the gauge clusters and get one with the tach in it. But what they don't do sometimes is retain their mileage. Now, I don't know whether it's due to either laziness or incompetence, but, you know, this is what goes on in the community sometimes. They just leave whatever the new gauge cluster mileage is. It is possible to change it. It really is. It's not hard. I mean, there's one or two small pieces there, but it's not hard to change. But people don't do that. So if you're looking to buy a CRX or EF hatch or sedan or wagon, make sure that mileage is correct. Verify that mileage. Verify they changed the gauge cluster or not. Also, when you're looking at these cars, make sure you check the rear quarter panels for any rust. As you see, there's no rust here. This is a Georgia car. It's been in the South all its life, so you're not gonna see much rust. Just make sure you check the rear quarter panels. Make sure you check the rear right here. You can replace a fender, you can replace a door, but you cannot replace the damn quarter panels. Well, you can, but it's just too much work. When you're going over the engine, make sure you check for anything weird. Look at the wire, especially check the wiring, actually. Make sure there's no, anything, just out of the ordinary. You see any custom wiring, make sure it's good, make sure it looks okay, make sure it's like heat wrapped, heat shrinked. And make sure you ask plenty of questions about the car too, because this is an investment. You don't want to buy a piece of crap. Check the coolant level. My coolant's kind of low right now. Make sure that coolant's green too. You see that little orange, right here. Make sure the coolant is actually green. If you have orange coolant, you might have an issue down the line. Orange usually means there's rust in the system because it's been sitting for a while. They've been using water forever. So, make sure that coolant is green. Check the timing belt. Make sure it's not loose. If you have power steering, my car does it right now. If you have power steering, make sure the belt looks fine. Check the alternating belt down here too. Make sure that looks okay. Check the spark plug. Spark plug wires. Just look over everything. Make sure everything's just not out of the ordinary. If it is at all possible, try to get underneath the car just to check everything out. Look at all the oil pan bolts to make sure there's no oil on them, because if there is, you have to replace your gasket, and that's not really fun. Check the old drain bolts also. If there's no cover here, check the flywheel, make sure the teeth look good. Check the transmission area, make sure that just make sure there's no oil leaks over there or anything. Look at the exhaust, look for leaks there. Look at the axles, make sure there's no leak where they meet the transmission. And while you're down here too, check the tie rods, because replacing the steering rack ain't fun, because I have to do that myself. I'm not even looking forward to that. Check the belts. Make sure they look okay. And then the next thing you want to do is run the motor, actually. And while you're running the motor, if there's any custom wiring, I would honestly just start playing with it. Just to see what happens, because you hit a hole, or hit a bump, anything honestly, and the wires start moving a little bit, they can mess up your car. So I would, while doing the test drive or while the motor's running, just start messing with the wiring. Just see what happens. See if any changes happen. And while going for the test drive, actually, I would have somebody press their foot on the ECU area. And that'll tell you a lot about the wiring also, because if you do that with my car in a certain way, either my fuel injectors or my distributor will throw a code. So I would check that too also, if there's any like custom wiring, like a multi-point swap, or they put a ZC in here, had to mess with the harness a little bit. Check up in this area a little bit. Look on the floor right here too, because if the water pump is about to go, they usually start leaking. And when the water pump is starting to leak, that means of course it has to be changed, and that means the timing belt is probably going to go too. And honestly, replacing a water pump, a timing belt, and the tensioner, do that too, is way better than replacing the whole damn head gasket. I rather do the water pump than do a head gasket. Anybody would. So check for that. Look at the fuses. Make sure all your fuses are there and they don't look burnt and corroded or something like that. These cars aren't really hard to fix. They're not hard to maintain. They're basic cars. It's not hard. So you know most of the time when you're buying a piece of crap, you just just do all those little tricks I just said. Just make sure all the wiring is good. You see this right here. Just make sure all the wiring looks good, because wiring issues are really they're a lot harder to fix, honestly. So just make sure all the wiring is good and everything. Make sure the fans kick on when they're supposed to. And like I said, make sure the coolant is green. If the coolant is orange, caution. Make sure the oil level is good. Make sure the oil is a good color. If it's not, it's caution there. Make sure the motor mounts are all right. Make sure they look okay, because I'll tell you a good bit about how old the car is, especially if they haven't changed, because people barely change that. If you see a B swap CRX or EF hatch or sedan going for like $1,000 to $1,500, I would just go ahead and buy that for that much, because the swap pays for itself at that price. But this has been Dual Overhead Cam DMAC. Just give you a quick video on what to look for when you buy these cars. These are very easy to maintain, not that expensive to maintain, very reliable when you treat it right. And there's a lot of things you can do with these cars. The options are endless, honestly. And if you're looking for something to like, this is like, if you haven't driven stick before and you need something like, just to learn how to drive stick on, I would buy one of these. The day after my swap was done with this car, like the day after I put everything together, it was ready to go, I drove it to work that morning, and it was my first time driving stick. I didn't have fun, but I learned within a good 2 weeks, and I made it there and back. So yeah, it's not hard to learn on. So everybody says the answer is always Miata, but after a while you get tired of seeing the damn things, and look at this. Come on, you can't go wrong with a happy Civic. Look how happy it is. All right, this is your boy Dual Overhead Cam DMAC here, and just like, comment, subscribe, and there'll be more videos on the way.